Good evening and welcome to commandN Live. I'm Amber Mack.
I'm Jeff MacArthur.
And we are so excited to come back with our April edition of commandN. It feels like just yesterday we were sitting at DX3.
It does. That was a fun show too.
It was a really fun show. We came up with some new segment ideas.
Yes, thank you very much for the geeky, Jeff's Geeky Show and Tell support. I've been able to wedge that into this week as well, so win.
It is a win. So we have a bunch of stuff coming up. As always, we encourage you to leave us questions and comments. Laura is managing the comments. Chris is behind the camera. Let us know if everything sounds okay and looks okay, because we have lots of geeky content to share with you tonight. So let us know in the comments. Also, I'm going to share this on my page over at Amber Mack, and maybe while we do that, Jeff, you could talk a little bit in terms of our amazing giveaway.
Yes, so we've got a giveaway here. You can see it there on the screen. It's a Nanoleaf, what do they call the full name of this thing? It's a Nanoleaf Aurora Rhythm Smarter Kit. And so this is a really cool multi-light piece that you can put up on your wall and control in various ways. Looks really neat. So Laura will be dropping links into the comments thread. So if you're looking for links to anything we're talking about, just check there. In addition to that, we've got our look back at our past month of commandN social media, a couple good stories there, a few top news stories. Laura's got a great gadget review. I've got one, and we've got an awesome video from the commandN vaults that we're really excited to share with you.
So it is going to be a great show. Just to kick things off, let us know where you are watching from, what city are you in. We want to make this show as global as possible, and we know we have some commandN fans from many years ago who are tuning in. If you are an old school version 1 commandN fan, let us know, and also please share the video and let other people in your community know. It's 8 p.m. Eastern. There's a lot of people who are sitting around on Facebook, and if you click that little share button and they see it in their news feed, we know we'll get more and more people joining the show, and we can build it to be bigger and better all the time.
Absolutely, and we wanted to announce our winners for from the T-Mobile concert contest. Wow, T-Mobile concert sounds fun too. So we've informed all the winners out there by email, and so you guys should be getting your great new T-Mobile iPhone cases in the next couple weeks. So definitely, when you get them, please share a picture or a video or something with us, and we'll put it up on our social feeds as well.
Yes, so congratulations to all of our winners. I know also that Laura is in the comments right now, and she is sharing some comments with us already as far as what people are saying. I'm also on the page and see that Ken from New Jersey is saying hello. He's one of our old school viewers. We have Tad from Phoenix, Dylan, who is a relative newbie, started joining in 2018, and Jason Perrier, who manages my podcast, The Feed, is watching already, and a few other people who are commenting. So thank you so much for those comments.
Yeah, and so we're going to jump into, so as you guys know, in addition to our Facebook Live episode we have each month, we also have content out there on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. So we post this video about a week later on YouTube. We share the segments natively on both Twitter and Instagram, so you can see them there as well. But we've got a couple cool stories that we've covered this month, and the first one is the Star Wars Disney Galaxy's Edge theme park. So there's a picture of it up there for artist rendition, but look at the video here that is showing the concept, and then it's going to drop into the building that's been done already.
This is incredible. I mean, I have to say that although I'm not as big of a Star Wars fan as Jeff is, I know there's a lot of you watching. Let us know in the comments if you are a Star Wars fan. And I think this is just pretty cool to see what they are developing. Now, Jeff and I were having this conversation. They are rolling this out first, you said, at Disneyland in Los Angeles?
Yeah, so it'll be in California first, in Anaheim, but it's going to be at Disneyland and Disney World as far as I understand. And here is some of the construction. Look at the scale of this stuff. So very excited to be able to go see this. You know, I expect some of you out there might be making a trip to Disneyland or Disney World. You might not have expected otherwise, because that is a really, really cool looking exhibit that they're going to have
It is absolutely incredible. I was saying to Jeff before we started the show that we should contact the people at Disney and perhaps go there for a commandN Live, bring the whole team. We might have to wait till the Florida version opens up, though, because it's a little more convenient for all of us. But I still think it would be absolutely fantastic. So let us know what you think. I'm sure a lot of people are loving that already and excited to see that theme park roll out. We also wanted to talk a little bit about 10 years of Marvel and IMAX. And this is an interesting story as well as far as what's happening with the future of IMAX. And Jeff had some really interesting geeky stats to talk about as far as the verticality of the characters.
Yeah, so if you watch this video, Chris will roll an edited version of this for you. And they have a great video on there that goes through some of the Marvel movies that have been featured on IMAX. And one of the things that is really striking is you can see the short screen there, and they'll expand so that you see the full IMAX height like there. And in the full version of this, you'll hear some of the people from Marvel saying how the characters in Marvel have more verticality. You need that height because they're flying places. They're doing all these things that we don't do, us lowly humans who walk along the ground. So it's really neat. IMAX is a great Canadian invention too, but it's wonderful to see it spread through the world, and these movies are just made for it.
They absolutely are, and it's a pretty cool just to be able to see that. And the thought of the verticality, which I had never really thought about before, is an interesting point to dive into. Just to go back for a second in terms of the Star Wars story, just want to say that Cal Sharif is saying, I would go with my 5-year-old, hashtag group discount. I could not agree more. Lars just let us know that Joe is watching from Chicago as well, and we have Danny here from Poolsville, Maryland, who is a longtime follower and listener, and a few other people. Now, we are going to get into a story here that I think that all of you will want to share, and it's about Facebook.
Yeah, so obviously everybody's been following the news about Facebook, and Mark Zuckerberg is testifying as we shoot this to Congress in the States, and there's some interesting things coming out of that. So, you know the story, the Cambridge Analytica, the mishandling of user data. I think the most interesting thing about this is that this isn't just a Facebook thing, even though that they have had some major problems. This is something we need to think about across social media. So, when these stories broke, I went in and started to change my settings. Did you do the same?
I did, actually, and I'm just curious. I know Laura is going to get engaged in the conversation here, and she's just posted a question. I'm curious what all of you think of this recent Facebook news. Also, because I know some of you are just tuning in right now, want to encourage you to share this video because I'm going to break down what you need to know about Facebook privacy settings, just to touch on what Jeff said.
A bunch of things have changed.
Yes, so if you are frustrated and you are helping your family and friends all the time navigate Facebook, it's time to click that little share button and share with other people so we can break this down for you. You probably saw in terms of Facebook privacy settings that on mobile, it used to be 20 screens that you had to go through to be able to manage your settings, 20 screens.
Yeah, and it's gone down to 1, thankfully. So there's progress to be made, but one of the threads that keeps coming up through the discussion in Congress and elsewhere is just users don't necessarily use these settings. And so it's frustrating that, even if they give you the right tools, some people aren't going to take advantage of them. And so it puts them in a bit of a hard place. All this said, I think any other company, Mark Zuckerberg at this time would probably be booted out as CEO. So he's in a unique situation, and I don't know, it's getting a bit hard to have sympathy for him after this keeps happening, but it's not like we're all leaving Facebook. We just want to be able to control our data a little bit better.
I have some interesting things to say about this. We know that Ben has just said that he's watching the testimony now. Let us know in the comments if there's anything you want to bring up there. He's also let us know in the comments that his settings have been locked down as he can get them. There's a lot more people jumping into this conversation. Jeff, I'm sure you see some of the feedback now. Yeah,
so Mike is saying, biggest concern for me is not what's shared on Facebook, but if they access my cookies, like banking choices, travel spots, etc. And I've always thought that is, I'm not sure that's a reasonable thing for Facebook to be able to do, follow you around on the web after you leave their site. At least we know that's happening. Ben is said he's got them as locked down as he can get them, and hopefully more people are in that boat as well.
Yeah, so Jason's saying, I think with Congress and what is shared with who and what has been really convoluted and confusing based on the questions that were asked. A couple more people who are just joining the conversation right now. I do want to say one thing. I read this incredible newsletter from Bob Lefsetz, who is well known in the music industry. And his stance on what's happening with Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg may not be a popular one, but he basically screamed at Facebook users for his entire email newsletter. And there's a tiny little bit of this that I kind of understand, and I would love to know what you guys think, because what he's saying is that at some point, we can't expect Facebook to necessarily protect us. At some point, the laziest of all of us who don't check our settings has to get involved, because we can't depend on Facebook to necessarily protect us. And I think this is a bit of a fallacy to even believe that they will. I mean, I would like to believe that.
Yeah. Well, and the CBC article that we had the slide up for there when we started, the previous slide there, is basically saying, okay, great, we can control what other people see from what we share on Facebook, but we can't actually control what Facebook itself sees. So there's a long discussion to be had here, and hopefully we'll be able to have, see improvement on this over the years, but or over the next months. I expect it'll move faster than that. But let's move on to our next story about autonomous cars.
Yes, so another story we want to talk about is autonomous vehicles. We realize there's a lot of fury around Facebook and a lot of fury around self-driving cars, and yet these are the stories that we're hearing about. It's interesting with self-driving cars. We saw a recent incident with an individual who was killed. This isn't the first time, and it won't be the last time. But I think that if you understand the technology behind autonomous vehicles, you can very quickly understand what the research is telling us is that, of course, this is going to be a safer way to be on the roads. Jeff and I spent 20 minutes talking about this today.
It's not very hard to see, I always say probably one of the worst things that your average person does is drive. And there's no way everyone that drives should have a license. I shared something recently on Facebook with a terrible accident. Somebody's stopping in the fast lane because they almost missed their exit and just cutting 90 degrees across. Robot cars aren't going to do that kind of thing. They need to get to the point where they're safer for sure. But if you watch the video of the Uber car, boy, I bet you your average driver would have some problems with that too. So let's focus on where these can really work. And I think they're going to be safer on highways and stuff like that to begin with. But this isn't all going to change overnight. And so we should be worried that it's being treated seriously, but it's also not something that is going to be causing havoc on our highways immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a comment from CM who says more testing before selling to the masses. Could not agree more. We also see Laura's been sending us all your Facebook comments. There's lots more coming in. We will get back to those at some point and read those, but wanted to let you know we see those. Cal has a comment here as well about autonomous vehicles.
Driverless cars will always be an accident, just like humans. Yes, to my point exactly. So
it's absolutely true. Just one little tiny tidbit I wanted to mention, although this is not in our rundown, but I was reading an article today about the industries that will be impacted by autonomous vehicles. Yeah. Insurance is an obvious one, right?
Yeah.
That's an obvious one. But they were also saying the hotel industry, because all of a sudden when you don't have to pull off the highway and stay overnight in a hotel, you can just chill in your car. That industry will be impacted. They were saying the personal injury lawyers will be impacted because more than 30% of civil cases are because of automobile accidents.
Absolutely.
They actually had a list of 10 different industries that would be significantly impacted because of autonomous vehicles.
Perhaps even car sales themselves. If your car can drive around to where you need it to be, do you really need to own your own car? Is your car probably sitting in a parking lot or your driveway for like 2/3 of its life? That has great effects relative to the environment and all sorts of things, but we'll see how it evolves. And we've got a super fun story next as the last of our news section. And that is, along with everyone else, Amazon has been spending a lot of money on content. Apple's doing the same. But the exciting thing for me is Amazon buying the rights to a 5-season Lord of the Rings television series. Now, this is based on Lord of the Rings, but it's supposed to come before it. and it's supposed to cost over $1 billion to make, the most expensive series ever.
But I think this is what it's going to have to take. I mean, I think what we've seen with all of the different platforms that exist out there is that you need, a winning series, a really big flagship show, whether it's a series or a movie, whatever it might be, to attract people.
Yeah, and everybody's making the comparisons to looking for their Game of Thrones or something like this. Something even beyond Stranger Things and all this kind of other competitors they might have out here. They're looking for these really big shows that'll be compelling. So Apple has, in addition to other investments it's made, it's got Isaac Asimov's Foundation series that it's going to be coming on. There's a Steven Spielberg series that they're adapting, and so you'll see this all over the place, but basically spending tons and tons of money, continuing the cycle where we went from having providers of content and the platforms they're streamed on to now the platforms themselves providing the comments, and we're right back to network days, basically.
Yeah, a couple of people, Ben saying he's already a Prime member here, Dylan saying possibly potential enhancing Amazon Prime. Jeff just touched a little bit in terms of Apple and the future of what Apple's doing in the entertainment industry. I had mentioned a show that I watch on Apple Music, which is from George Stroumboulopoulos, who we all know from television. He used to do, of course, Much Music, and then George Stroumboulopoulos Tonight, and then The Hour, or I don't know if that's the right order, but similar to that. He's now doing House of Strombo on Apple Music, a beautifully produced music show that is just a great watch, because there's not that much music content anymore.
Yeah, and the one thing Apple's done recently that I've been pleased with is they've embraced a much more natural fit for them than chasing the likes of Netflix. They've embraced music videos. So now you can find like mood lists of music playlists by mood of music videos, same way you did with singles and stuff like that. So, I think Apple has an awful lot of catch up to do in this area, but on the music side, there's some really natural.
And they've got the cash.
They've got the cash.
They've got the cash to do it as well. Just want to remind you one more time, we see your comments coming in. In a few minutes, we'll remind you again how you could get a chance to win that amazing giveaway we have. It's valued at about $250, depending on where you could get it. It's behind us right now. This really cool nano leaf product that has a bunch of different light panels you can control from an app. So absolutely gorgeous. We'll be putting a link into the comment section to let you know how you could potentially win that. And please share this video with your friends and family to give them a sense of what they're missing out on in the high-tech world. Now it's time to check in with Laura, who did a segment on a really cool gadget that I want for my home, and I know you're going to love.
I've been having a lot of fun playing with this awesome portable smart light called the Philips Hue Go. You can start by finding a spot in your home to plug it in, maybe a location where it's hard to fit a larger lamp, or a place where you'd like to throw some different lighting effects on a wall. After it gets charged up, you can unplug it and get up to 3 hours of battery life from the internal rechargeable battery to take it wherever you want. It will stand on its own at an angle, or balance equally well facing up. You can hook it up with other Hue lighting components, or use it on its own. Combining the Go with the Hue Bridge means you can control it with your smartphone and easily create almost unlimited lighting effects with all kinds of color combinations and moods built right in. You can even pick a photo from your smartphone's camera roll, and Hue will make a mood color based on that for something totally unique. You can control the light with voice control via Google Home, Amazon's Alexa, or Apple HomeKit. If you don't have a Hue Bridge set up, the Go still works great. It has a button on the back where you can cycle through warm and cool neutral light, and then 5 different preset moods called dynamic effects, including a setting for gently flickering candlelight, a soothing blue tone intended for meditation or relaxation, and a night adventure setting that moves smoothly through purples, pinks, and blues. Using the Hue app, you can set up timers so the light will be on when you get home, or preset wake up and nighttime routines so that the light comes on gradually in the morning, for example, waking you up with gentle light instead of an alarm clock. If you leave home and forget to turn off the light, you can easily check on that and turn it off using the Hue app too. I love this light because it's so functional and easy to use, and I can move it around my home as needed. Retailing for around $80, the Philips Hue Go really delivers on value and versatility.
That is awesome. I think that's really cool, especially for outdoors. I think that I'm just daydreaming about nicer weather because we haven't had the best spring weather just yet, but I'm imagining bringing that outside, maybe around a little, backyard gathering, a barbecue in the evening, and being able to switch all the colors through an app is amazing. I have to tell you that, as Jeff has noticed, more and more my home is becoming more automated. I have a robot vacuum. I have an oven I can preheat from outside the home, Wi-Fi fridge. The list of things goes on and on. I even got this new little treat dispenser for our dog that will allow you to give him treats when you're away. From a privacy standpoint, I am concerned and unplug things on a regular basis, so don't worry, I'm not naive about that. But there's still some pretty cool tech around. Now, we did promise, and it looks like people are asking about the price, so maybe Laura can post into the comments in terms of the price and let people know, but I know it's actually relatively affordable for a high-tech light like that, and she has just posted in a link to that specific product. Now, we did promise we would talk about this nano leaf, and this is a light panel system that you can control from your app. And the cool thing about this, guys, for people watching, and this is why you would potentially want to win one of these, is that this is the starter kit. I also call it the starter kit because you can add on to this, and that's what makes it so cool. And you can add on to the paneling that you've already done to do neat designs. Definitely an incredible centerpiece for any home, and it's valued at around $250, but you could win it. Laura will post the link into the comments, but while she's doing that, let us know what you think of the Nano Leaf and if you would use one of these in your home, because I would just love to get your feedback on it. I think it's pretty cool, and actually it breaks my heart a little bit because I was like, oh, maybe we should keep this product. It's so amazing, but we are giving it to our commandN viewers because we know and value your time that you're spending with us. So good luck, and hopefully we have a bunch of people who entered, and we will make sure on the next show to announce the lucky winner.
Yeah, so we've got a fun little segment next, which is an interview that Laura and I conducted at HalCon, the sci-fi comic convention in Halifax. It's a few years old, but it never ended up getting released for commandN, and we just thought it would be great to bring it back because it's amazing. Even though it was probably 5 years ago, it's still pretty relevant. So it's with Rene Aubergenois, who you may know probably most famously as Odo from Deep Space Nine.
Of course.
He was always in, he was also in Benson, he was in Boston Legal, he was in MASH and a bunch of other things. So he's actually had a great career and was really interesting to talk to. So we edited down his interview to a couple minutes so he could share a few words about how he thought at the time that technology is changing filmmaking.
The digital change is tremendous in film, how the capacity to go in and repair things, fix things, adjust things, make whole scenes different. So that's huge. And of course, many years later, I started doing Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, and my character was really based on the thing that made the character interesting for a lot of people was the fact that he was a shapeshifter, Odo, and could change into a lot of different things. And of course that was all a huge technological change. What's amazing to me is how much, you know, I have in my pouch there my iPad, which I've been traveling with. It's my computer, it's my way of staying connected to home and reading the newspaper and watching videos and listening to music. But when I look at that thing in my hands, I realize that when we started Deep Space Nine, I would walk around with something basically the same size as an iPad. And of course it was just basically a piece of cardboard or plastic with nice things drawn on it, but it didn't really do anything. But it was basically an iPad, and here I am walking around with one, and you are sitting there interviewing me. You've got your questions written on an iPhone, which is even smaller, and so there's so many things that we see in the original series of Star Trek that we take for granted now.
I'm looking through the comments, and I see that a lot of people do recognize him. We have Ben saying Rene is awesome, Wayne saying Benson, Luke saying I love Rene more in Boston Legal, and Ben asking, was the French chef in The Little Mermaid, was that Rene? I don't know if that's true.
Yes, I think you're right. I think you're right. He actually did more voice work than that. He was on Broadway with Katharine Hepburn and stuff. Yeah, he was a really wonderful guy to talk to. So we've got a bit more interview than that. We may share it at some point, but it was just lovely to speak to him when we did.
And do want to mention in terms of the giveaway that the link is up and running. So Laura will post that in. I know she posted a link as well in terms of what the product is all about, but we'll also have the link in there where you can go and enter into this giveaway and get a chance to win that as well. Lots of comments coming in from people remembering great moments with Rene, and it's fun to check in with him and see that long history that he's had in both cinema and TV as well.
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot to write this into the notes, but any of you who want to go back and watch Deep Space Nine, which the best of which I think is the best Star Trek ever. That may enrage some people, but there is an article.
Chris is clapping. You have to reference
That's
that.
pretty awesome. Chris is clapping in the background. There is an article on Medium that is watch Deep Space Nine in 82.5 hours or something like that. And it tells you, because unlike the other Star Treks, there's a lot of continuous storylines that weave throughout Deep Space Nine. So it shows you all the episodes you should watch, the great episodes, the episodes you need to understand the full storyline. And just do a search for that. Again, Deep Space Nine in 82.5 hours, I think. And they've got a Next Generation one in 40-some hours that you could also see there.
Yeah, well, Chris is a big fan, apparently. Yeah. So we usually tell him to be quiet behind the camera, but every now and again he pipes up when he feels passionate about something.
Well, and before we get to my next review, we wanted to share a little HQ trivia. I don't know if any of you played this afternoon, but The Rock was on it, and he was awesome as usual. We also wanted to point out that if you do play HQ Trivia, you should probably be watching commandN, because as you see on the right-hand side of your screen, Alf was the answer for an important question recently for a big prize. So we gave you that answer just a month ago. So you keep up with us, and you never know what it'll bring you. Fame, fortune, fans, or maybe just an awesome lighting site.
This is because the last episode, Jeff got really giddy talking about Alf. I do want to say, don't go away yet, because we still have a few amazing things. And usually in shows, you know, you have your top heavy of your best stuff up front. But this show, we have some really geeky stuff at the end of the show, and some really cool stuff to talk about over the last few minutes of the show. Before we get into that, if you are someone who produces video, and I thought that we had everything in the video world, Jeff has been able to find this amazing microphone for the iPhone. And before he lets us know some more about that, let's take a look at his review.
Although the cameras on some smartphones have gotten really impressive, the inferior onboard audio captures meant that you can't really do a professional shoot with voiceover using just your phone. Well, if this is the problem for you, and you've got an iOS device with a lightning connector, then you should give Sennheiser's ClipMic digital lav microphone a try. Just clip the professional Sennheiser ME2 lapel mic to your shirt, then plug in the lightning connector to your iPhone or iPad or iPod Touch. And in between the two of these, you'll see Apogee's pure digital analog to digital signal converter. And it'll do its magic so you can capture broadcast quality recordings. The mic includes a metal windscreen to reduce noise, and you can even use Bluetooth headphones to monitor your recording. The ClipMic comes with a small carrying pouch, although I would have preferred a hard case to better protect it since it costs over $200. But all you really need is your iOS device and the mic to head out into the world to capture your next video masterpiece. You can also use this with Apogee's Meta Recorder app for iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch, which lets you record audio and control your clip mic. But any Core Audio compatible app will work just fine, including your built-in camera app. My only real complaint is the cable is only about 6 feet long, which makes it a bit easier to lug around, but it obviously means that you can only capture audio if your iOS device is pretty close by. That said, whether you're a journalist, a podcaster, a traveler, or a live streamer, or just somebody who wants to capture some crystal clear voice dictation, the Sennheiser ClipMic Digital could be just what your iOS video recordings need.
I see, Wayne, you're out there trying to quiz us on ALF now, and so we know all these answers. I'm going to just make sure that Laura is able to respond correctly here through Skype. But yeah, anyway, that lav mic is super awesome. It'd be great for streeters or stuff like that. You get supremely good quality audio. Sennheiser's a wonderful name, and Apogee as well. So I found it's just great, and we're going to use it to try to do some more street interview kind of segments and some travel segments also for commandN when we're on the road.
Yeah, no, it's super cool, and I think it's quite a reasonable price because Sennheiser mics can be very expensive, but you said that was around $200?
Around $200, yeah. I got mine in the Apple Store and it was $220 Canadian, so I think it's online for about $200.
So CM says, nice review, and of course there is the answer to Wayne's question about what was Alf's real name.
Gordon Shumway.
Gordon Shumway. A couple people have answered that already. Some really great stuff coming up in the next couple of minutes as well. So wanted to mention one quick thing before we get into more details around the giveaway, and just let you guys know that we see all your comments and are going to go back in. Thanks for watching again, and we want this show to continue. So what we really need you to do, I think Dylan gets it, still going strong, is to share this video right now with anyone you know who loves technology, because we are a great destination to learn more about technology. And speaking about learning more, I just wanted to share this campaign that I'm working on that's coming up. I'll be posting more about it next week with PicMonkey. Now, PicMonkey is this incredible tool that I have been using for a long time now that allows you to do a bunch of different things. For me, I use it for a few different reasons. One is to be able to do more on the design front with social media graphics. I use it to touch up photos, to make social media graphics. The list of things goes on and on. Thumbnails for your YouTube videos, creating some really beautiful images. Now, PicMonkey, you've probably tried it out before. You may not know, however, is that they're coming out with a new and improved version, and we wanted you to have the first chance to get on their beta list, because we know geeks love beta lists. So we'll get Laura to post this into the comments right now, and you can be on the beta wait list to be the first to try out the all new PicMonkey to create some really beautiful images. So please click on that link and sign up and join me on this journey as I go to Seattle next week and learn more about the all new PicMonkey. And you can be one of the first to check it out if you simply click on that link.
Awesome.
Easy peasy.
Yeah. So so we're going to have the NanoLeaf giveaway details coming up a little bit later at the end of the show, which is not that long away. But before that, as I had mentioned earlier, you, the wonderful fans out there, have convinced Amber that I should keep doing Jeff's Geeky Show and Tell. So let's bring it on. Woo. All right. So I wanted to start this with something that was a bit of an artifact, like the ALF cards and all that. And what I have is my personally autographed picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger. To Jeff, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so Chris has a scan of it there that you can see. I don't know if you can read the signing part of it, but this is something that Amber really got for me. Amber, do you remember the story behind this?
I do. So there is a good story behind this, and it's a geeky story as well. So this is a story from many, many years ago. When I was 13 years old, I did a series of commercials for Panasonic air conditioners in Japan. So this is why you watch commandN. You get to see this other side of us. And it was a really, really fun experience. And there was a gentleman who worked on the show called Danny Shudo, and we're still friends today. He's based in Los Angeles, has worked with some of the top movie stars in the world. He was working with Arnold Schwarzenegger, knew Jeff loved Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't remember all the details, but I know that this was then delivered to you, and it was personally autographed by Arnold Schwarzenegger. And the whole time we were growing up, Jeff had this hanging in his room, and he was very, very proud of it. So thank you to Danny for that.
And now I have it hanging in my office. So
of course
that's also great. But yeah, and you know what, Arnold, I really like the environmental stuff that he's trying to take the lead on there, or trying to really push people on. It's pretty impressive that the former Mr. Universe actually was the governor for the 6th largest economy in the world at the time, California. So Good on you, Arnie. You're doing great.
I'm seeing a theme here because you're really into The Rock. You're really into Arnold Schwarzenegger. You like these big, bulky men.
They're so cuddly, though.
I know. I feel like I'm seeing a theme here.
Obviously,
Jeff.
I identify with men with great bodies like myself.
Yes, it's aspirational right now.
Aspirational indeed. So we've got another cool thing. Apparently, Spider-Man is moving back to his black costume. And in discovering this, I looked up how many costumes he used to have, or he's had over the years. And as you can see, there's like a lot of costumes. I think there's 24 different costumes since Spider-Man started, which really surprised me. So I thought I'd share it with you because there's a little bit of trivia. And we've got a link for that too if you want to check out what each of them are. There's some pretty weird ones there
if
too.
If this were really Jeff's geeky portion of the show, what he would have brought up, which I will because the true geek is here, is the issue, what was it, 648 or something of the Adventures of Superman, where commandN was featured in an actual comic book. There were characters in the comic book who had the commandN logos on their back, drawn into the comic strip. I have that printed in my house, and some pretty incredible memorabilia from those days as well. So I can't believe that Spider-Man had so many different costumes. Who knew? Who knew?
Yeah, well, you find out lots of things on, that's actually another Pinterest discovery for me, pinterest.com/Jeff MacArthur. I'm convinced there might be other geeky people on Pinterest because I find a lot of cool stuff on there.
Wow.
And the final thing we wanted to share with you from the Geeky Show and Tell, this I owe to Chris, our wonderful cameraman, has found a Dungeons and Dragons, basically it's an abilities generator. You take a questionnaire, answer relative to yourself, and then you will be given the stats for what your Dungeons and Dragons character would be. So strength 15, intelligence 18, dexterity, constitution, charisma, the whole shebang. And that just seems so wonderfully geeky. And Chris had a good conversation with the guy who created it on social media. So we wanted to share that with you too, and the link's up there. And just going to take a look at the comments at this point to see where we're at. Oh, Wayne, good point. Pumping Iron. Pumping Iron is actually on Netflix, I believe, too, with Arnold. So you can watch him on that. I remember part of that. I think Arnold has pre-printed a T-shirt before going into competition with like Lou Ferrigno and all these guys' bodybuilding competition that says Arnold is numero uno, that he puts on as soon as he wins. And then he goes and has a little bit of a smoke afterwards. So you should take a look. It's Pumping Iron, and it's a different kind of movie, kind of entertaining though.
This is why you need
It's
to
a documentary,
stay.
just to be clear. It's a documentary.
Sure, it's a documentary. This is why you need to stay until the end of commandN, friends. I know many of you have stuck around for the whole show, and thank you so much for that, because you need to stick around because, Jeff is a little, uptight at first, and then he gets to the geeky section, and he just really loosens up. We learn about his Pinterest interest. We learn about the bulky men he loves. We learn about all these different things. And Chris, too. He loves him, too.
Clapping from the peanut gallery.
He loves him, too. So John's saying, does this app, the D&D app, collect all my data and my friends' data after taking the D&D quiz? Good question.
Yes, it then rates them, and you're allowed to go attack. You get the addresses for the weaker ones, so you can go to their house and steal their stuff.
Wow. So funny. Ken is saying, what about all those nostalgic Easter eggs in Ready, Play, Go via Spielberg? Have you seen it? Have not seen it yet, but I would love to see that as well.
Yeah, for sure. They tried to do a little thing like that with HQ Trivia around the Easter eggs. It didn't quite work.
Didn't work.
But, big prize at the very least.
I also wanted to say hi to Stephen Hudak in the comments. I knew he was going to tune in tonight, so thank you for tuning in. Before we get into our final piece of the show, wanted to encourage you one more time. If you guys would, if you enjoyed the show, if you thought it was good, if you know people who would like it, please share the show from your pages, from your feeds with other people. Let them know your favorite part, and we'll keep building the show bigger and better. So we always want to have a sort of giveaway for each show, and they keep getting bigger and better. Luke is suggesting we have a live show with beers after. We can geek out for hours. I don't drink, but we could do that.
And we've been talking about having a commandN meetup kind of thing, so we've done that in the past. We did that for our 100th episode anniversary, actually. We should share some of the pics from way back then, but we definitely want to do stuff exactly like that. So that's why Aaron was saying, tell your friends about it. let's get our viewing numbers up to where we've got like a lot of people that we can share this with, so that when it comes time to have one of these live events, we'd love to do a live show with an audience. All of this stuff is within the realm of doing. We just need to make sure people spread the word and hear about it and know we're back, and we'd love to meet you guys out there. So keep up with the ideas. This is a very fluid show, so we'll
it's
be
fluid.
adapting to your needs as need be.
And we will also make sure that Brian and Mikey and Will and Rahaf and all those people get introduced back into the show. We've just been getting it up and running, but they will come back on the show. So you all probably have things that you need to do. So just wanted to wrap up the show and remind you once again. And I am so excited for the person who wins this giveaway. It's awesome.
Yeah, so you can go to ambermac.com/commandN-giveaway, and you'll see the rules there. It's basically just a simple form that you have to enter. And I just noticed that the name at the top is wrong, but ignore that. You can still fill out that same form. That'll enter you. It's only open to residents of the United States and Canada, excluding Quebec. Sorry, but that's how it has to be. Over 18 years old, and you have to be following commandN on some social network. So please go to ambermac.com/commandN-giveaway, and you'll find the details and let us know. We're asking you what we could do better in the show, because we really want to know. So fill that in, and hopefully one of you lucky people out there will be the proud owner of this.
I can't wait, and I can't wait to see how you set it up. Luke is saying my daughter just saw a pic of the leaf and went, wow, I want one. So good luck to Luke. I know a lot of people would be excited to have that. Alan is watching from Calgary. The list of comments goes on and on. So keep them coming. Thank you so much for joining us. We should also, because Chris doesn't get enough credit, thank Chris for setting this all up. It looks great.
You have no idea the number of cables that are just over there.
It's a little frightening.
We've got a couple cameras, we've got several computers running, and Chris, the mastermind behind all of it, looking like some mad scientist banging away at his gear. So, yeah.
And clapping all the time.
We don't mic him, or you'd be hearing terrible, terrible swearing.
That wouldn't be good. And we do want to thank Laura as well. And
Thanks so much, Laura,
Wayne says thanks to Laura in the comments. She's doing a great job in the comments, keeping everybody up to date and posting all the links that we have to talk about every single show. And also with these amazing reviews that Laura does and Jeff does, we will also post those independently on social media. And that pretty much wraps up the show. It was so much fun doing the show again with you.
We'll see you in about a month. And
yes.
in between then, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. There's other content going out there as well. So you'll get the most out of commandN if you're on those different platforms too. So we'd love to see you on them all. And, well, they don't hook us anymore. What do we do? Just say
comment
hi.
and say hello, or follow Jeff on Pinterest, whatever you want. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Enjoy.